Here are the horoscopes for the week of the 20th to the 26th of July 2015. There are many things happening on many channels this week, so we're going to take it day by day, and we start with Monday when Venus goes into Virgo. This is more important than usual. This would be a yearly event, but this year we have Venus retrograding back into Leo, so we're going to have a lot of Venus energy around. So to break it down, Venus in Virgo is to do with us valuing the cycles of time, because Venus is our values, what's in our heart, what we care about, and Virgo is the seed to the harvest. It's the cycles of time. So as we go into Virgo with Venus, we'll be having a look at how we spend our time. What are we planting and what are we hoping to reap at the end of it? There's a lot of creativity with Venus as well, so can we put ourselves into a creative project that we can go in and truly explore that creativity, which is one of our highest values really, because life can't all be about mechanical consumerism, getting by, getting through. The real things that are valued in life are that unique creative expression and the alchemical change that any art form can bring, taking us from not knowing what's going to happen if you're watching a play to having gone through the experiences with the actors, or going through experience of emotion with music, enlightenment with words and poetry, and a change of mood with art. So we're looking at the real value of our unique creativity with Venus, and in Virgo it's a slow and building productivity that brings. It's not quick outbursts, but it's, can we give ourselves a project? Can we actually nurture and hone our skills? Because Virgo is also the school year as well as the harvest, seeing all the small pieces that go together to make the big picture. So it's a long, slow process that we can dive into, and we can actually create something over time. So there's a perspective, there's timing, there's honouring nature and the cycles, because Venus in Virgo will take us into that agricultural cycle as well. Like I say, from the seed to the harvest, going through all the seasons and experiencing all the changes that go on to make a complete cycle. So quite a long-term aspect, this one, but we can start now by actually giving ourselves something to turn our creative energies to, and that's probably very welcome because we've had quite a tough month of Cancer, lots of emotions, lots of letting go, lots of releasing. And over the last week we've had an alignment to Sirius, which has had people reporting great sadness or tiredness. It's a time to be still when we align with Sirius. So we're coming out of that phase, but we've been stripped back a bit so that we can see where we're putting our energies and what worth and value it has. To add to the Venus story, we've currently got Venus square Saturn retrograde. So for those that remember the years 2013 to 14, when Saturn was in Scorpio, stripping us back to the core and having us really explore our shadow side, we have the summing up of that over this summer. So Saturn retrograde back into Scorpio. You may feel like, well, what more can go? I've been stripped back to the core. But it's worth, again, keeping that perspective of time, priority and pacing, that philosophical outlook, because this will come to an end. And Saturn says, do the work, do it properly, do it now, make yourself proud, and you won't have to do it again. You will be stronger and more flexible at the end. So with Venus square Saturn, slightly tough aspect there, Venus calling us to actually put ourselves into something meaningful and productive, and Saturn continuing to strip ourselves back. But I feel that this may manifest this week in an exploration of self-esteem. So it could be our self-respect is challenged by others, or we could get the rewards, we could get the respect that we've worked hard for, or not even expecting, but people could actually be telling us how much they care or how much they value our contribution that we're giving while we're here. Now this adds to an even bigger story, because it's very much about why are we here and what are we doing while we're here this week. We have a sense of exploring life purpose and exploring what value we are to others, what we're giving, what we're contributing on a certain level. As by Wednesday Mercury goes into Leo and by Thursday the Sun goes into Leo, we can come out of those dwelling waters now. We can come out of that emotional exploration cycle that we've been on as the Sun went through Cancer, and we can come out and dry ourselves off on the beach and start to radiate some heat and some warmth. So again, a big warm creative aspect coming in by Wednesday, Thursday, as we step into the full Sun of Leo, with Mercury there as well, which is true expression of the heart and courage. So we've got the creativity of Venus, we've got the acuteness of Mercury, we've got the Sun in Leo, and this is going to start to feel like the Sun's broken through the clouds by Wednesday, Thursday, despite some of those other trickier aspects working away on us, with us in the background. So Leo is courage, Leo is the heart, Leo is full radiance. So whatever we've stripped away should have left us clearer to actually be able to be a true expression, a heart expression of ourselves, rather than putting our attention to and our mind to psychological games and the facade, or to be covered up with density so that our light can't shine. This should be able to stand tall, stand strong, and actually our radiating presence is felt without us having to do anything. So it has been worth doing a lot of the clearing up, because that's possibly been blocking the channel or covering us in a layer of density that was stopping that true light shining out. So we can take Venus, we can take the Sun in Leo, and we can start to put our creativity and our heart value into something that when we're doing it and we're enjoying it, then that naturally goes out of us and maybe even inspires others. So a very full-on week, and then Venus turns retrograde at the weekend on the 25th. So we're 0 degrees Virgo, and then she's going to go back into Leo, so we'll have another Leo aspect coming in there. But as we know, when we work with a retrograde cycle, whatever comes up in the first leg, which has been from the 6th of June to the 25th of July, whatever's come up in that period regarding Venus in Leo is going to be taken back for recalibration. So have a look back to June, most of June and July. What were you caring about? What were you putting your energy into? And where was your creativity? What were you creating in the background? Because that can now go back and actually be worked upon. So sometimes we're so busy pushing outwards and just trying to create for the sake of it, that if we did actually achieve our goals or complete that project, it may be slightly off point, it may be slightly out of sync, out of direction. But when we go back to the rocket fuel of what motivates us to push forwards, what are we actually motivated by, rather than focusing on the end goal, I want to paint a painting, go back in and have a look at what's the inspiration for that. So the recalibration phase will be taking us back in to explore our values, to explore why we're creating, what the true energy is behind the scenes, and what the true message is in our creativity, so that we can get back in contact with that. And I call it rocket fuel because that's actually the place that we're creating from, and that's actually almost going to ensure the end goal, rather than focusing on getting something finished. Focusing on why we love doing it in the first place is the very thing that will make that end result a lot bigger and a lot better aligned at the end of the day. So from June through July we've had a look at creativity and values. We're now going back into the retrograde phase, and we're going to be exploring what matters in our heart, what actually we've been inspired by. And this is a great time to go back to any artwork that has inspired you, to imagine if that person hadn't written the book that was most influential, or hadn't created that piece of music, then how your life would have not been the same, how you wouldn't have got your inspiration. So to go back and to value the creativity that you've received is a very good way to reignite and get back into contact with your motivation for creating in the first place. When Venus turns direct in September, we're then on the third leg, which will be making and creating from a bigger space, and those projects will actually take us in a slightly different direction to the smaller, more restricted one that we'd first imagined. So a lovely week to really go in and explore the heart. What are you here for? What is it that you care about? What effect does it have on people? How does it affect your self-respect and self-esteem? The things that you love in life, doing more of that. As they say, follow your joy. That's very much going to be the scenario with Venus retrograde in Leo, going back and getting into contact really with the things that make your heart pound, that make you smile, that make your cells excited, and getting back into contact with that very, very special place, because sometimes the mind can take over the place that we're creating from and put rational steps in the way. I want to do this, but that won't work, and that doesn't make money, and I don't have the qualifications for that, so I'm going to limit my dreams and go for something realistic and achievable. And that's fine, we need that element, but sometimes we need to take those shackles off a little bit and actually just be expansive and be radiant and be creative and inspired just for the sake of it, and enjoy the process. So this is very much the story of Venus this week and those elements going into Leo. It's been quite a tough couple of weeks, so now it's time to just retract a little bit, get back to basics. What are you creating? What would it end up with? Is that actually what you want? And making those necessary changes so that you actually reach a bigger goal at the end of the day. But it's not really all about outward goals. I feel by the end of the week we get a sense of life purpose. So if you imagine that you've come here, you haven't come here to be your job title or to be your family label. You haven't come here to just be part of a mechanical wheel and accumulate and get by and tick boxes. We're going back in now to actually see, well, what matters to us is actually possibly more connected with our life purpose than all of those labels and titles. So do you activate people? Do you empower people? Are you a listener? Are you an empath? Are you a compassionate soul? What is it that you've actually got? What are those qualities that tend to get missed off your CV? On our energetic CV it looks very, very different. We're actually here contributing and being part of a great consciousness raising at this time. And it's quite a good exercise, especially by next weekend, to have a look at what those silent contributions are. What is your essence? What's your nature? And what presence are you having? If we include those then in our plan going forwards later on in September, then we'll actually be living our authentic self rather than just working with outward goals and striving. So a sense of life purpose, have a look at who you are, how you fit into your group of friends would be the microcosm of that. What role do you play? When somebody's met you and goes away, what influence have you had? Not in a trying or a power or a persuasion way, but how have you changed the dynamic? And what's your natural healing ability? Because I feel that if we can look at ourselves more from that angle, then this again is getting us back into contact with our true self and also our life purpose, so that when we do start to put these things into action and actively create and radiate, it's our true essence that we've got back into contact with. So a beautiful week, lots of warm, sunny Leo energy coming up. We can shake off the waters of Cancerian emotion that we've had plenty of lately and get back into the heart, get back into our joy, and go on that journey with Venus by the end of the week to get back into contact in order that we can recalibrate where we're coming from in the first place and who we are. And then everything becomes a lot less difficult. It's an effortlessness that will come in through this retrograde phase, because we'll be being ourselves and we'll be radiating that out and adding to what's going on here on this planet at the moment, as well as living our authentic life purpose. So those are the horoscopes for this week, and I'll see you next week. I have a life purpose reading which is very special, so if you'd like to look into beyond the obvious astrology, if you'd like to have a look at your chart but also what it's saying about what you're truly here for and what direction you're heading in and how you can follow that joy and get back into connection with your authenticity, then please do contact me, because we can have a look at certain aspects in your chart that are showing your true north, your life purpose, and how to take all that you are and without trying to be someone else or fit into a label, how to take everything that you are and everything that you enjoy and start to build that into your lifestyle, to actually realise all those elements of yourself that you may have put away for practicality's sake, and get them back into your world so that you can actually live the happiest and most purposeful life. So do contact me if you'd like a reading on that, or any of the other readings, or even some of my courses as we head into the Venus in Virgo. You may be inspired to take up a course of learning, so I have all my online courses that are available too. So please do contact me, zoehines7@gmail.com, and have a wonderful week.